Hello and welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's only daily show dedicated to entrepreneurship, technology and innovation. I'm Rahul Daima coming to you from India's Startup Hub, Bangalore, and we do have a power-packed show lined up for you ahead. First up, we did have the Make My Trip founder Deep Kalra on the show yesterday exclusively, talking about the early days of starting up, the challenges really in the travel market, but also the latest trends that are really standing out from a consumer point of view. Let's take a look at the snippet from the show yesterday.
I think when one looks back and says that yes, it's been 19 years, but the reality is that we are still a very young company and dare I say a 19-year-old startup at heart. Daycations and staycations have become very popular and these are new terms, but it's true that people are today saying, listen, we don't have time to get out of town. We live in a small place. We need a break. The very encouraging trend is clearly that Indians are traveling like never before. You can go to any airport in the world. Not only in India, you'll see Indians. In Indian airports, the queues on immigration itself tell you how people are traveling. I tell young entrepreneurs, go to the right person for the right problem. That's your job. No one has tons of time, so you can't go to them with all your problems.
No.
Just find the right person for the right thing.
That problem.
That matchmaking is your job to do.
You like to play the role of an angel investor?
Yeah, there's been a learning there. I've actually done quite a few. And I think too many. I made a lot of investments early on. One would like to, that's also the way of kind of showing your faith in the ecosystem, right?
Do you have a favorite?
Oh yeah, some of them have obviously, I think, worked out quite well. There's some recent ones which I'm very excited about. So I'm very excited about Dunzo and about Milk Basket. Very recent, and that's exciting to see how well they're growing. So hopefully they'll continue to do well.
So any advice that you have to those that like to invest in startups?
Yeah, they can. And that's the lure, but I don't think people should get in for that because the reality is for all the unicorns, to use that much touted word now that we hear and see of, I think it's 99 to 1 where we don't. So it's really the tip of the iceberg that we see and we say, oh wow, look at that company, multi-billion dollar, array, I got in earlier now. But you don't see hundreds of other companies which struggled and fell apart. And I've seen many like that too. So I think one has to be very clear that you get in to back fundamentally, I think, a really good.
Don't look at it as an asset class. Look at it
Not
as
at all. This is play money.
Interesting insights from Deep Kalra there, but as I told you, there's a lot more coming up. We continue that conversation with Deep Kalra. In fact, my colleague Nayantara Rai posed questions by entrepreneurs courtesy TIE Delhi and K-Tech hub here in Bengaluru, from scaling up to his tips to entrepreneurs. Here's what he had to say. The conversation entrepreneurs cannot miss on ET Now Startup Central. Take a look.
We actually, got some queries for you because people do look up to you for advice. We did this by going to the KT Hub in Bengaluru. We also tied up with TIE Delhi. So now I'm going to come to the masterclass segment with Deep Kalra. So thanks for being a part of that. So I'm going to give you my phone. So this is the first query that we've got. So you can just click on the video and this is from Bengaluru.
Hi, my name's Rohit. I run a fintech company called Nayantara. We're still pretty early stage. We have 30 employees right now. And the question I have is, as you scaled your company, how did you maintain your company culture?
That's Rohit.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Rohit. So I really think this is one of the key things we have to worry about. And I'm glad that Rohit is thinking about it when he's 30 employees, because I think till about 150 people, you can kind of know everyone fairly okay, and you can, you're part of the culture, assuming, that's the culture you want that can kind of, permeate and be omnipresent kind of thing. Beyond that becomes very hard. So beyond that, the culture takes on its own hues and flavors. The reality is you hire people then who have teams working for them. So fundamentally, I would like Rohit and everyone else who's really bothered about culture to always hire people with similar or the right kind of value fit. So everyone doesn't do that. We have the need, let's say, for a technology person. We have the need for someone in product, or we have the need for someone in marketing. We try to find the best person we can afford and get the person in. But values will oftentimes determine if that person will stay if that for long, if that person will gel, and if that person will actually add value to the company on a culture kind of grid, or will take away. And the value match is harder to do. So I recommend multiple interviews with people. First one in office, second one out of office. The second one is talk about things. You're not going to say, okay, now I'm going to interview you for values. No. But you're going to ask people what they feel about, for some people, family values are really important because they're a reflection of how you'll treat people. So you'll talk about that. When you meet people in outdoor settings, you'll also see how they react to other aspects of the environment, how they talk to people who might be serving your coffee, etc., etc. You'll have many giveaways. And you'll see,
You've ever rejected someone because you thought they didn't behave nicely with, let's say, somebody serving coffee?
All the time.
Yeah?
All the time, yeah.
That shows
and internally I tell people that really tells how you're going to be with people around. More than that, I think that's just a small one. I think what's very important is when things get tough, it gets down to that. Also for me, at least for people who I work with directly, let's say a leadership team and beyond, and some of the other colleagues, it's really important that I want to spend time with them besides work.
Yeah.
Outside work, I enjoy chatting with them. It's really important. And then you get to know more. I mean, I don't need to know everything about them, but what they bring to work. So I think Rohit and others should worry about that early and bring in people who have a cultural fit with you.
Okay.
And the only way to get that is to meet multiple times, to socialize.
Be patient.
Yeah, to socialize.
Person,
exactly. And spend time, do the network checks. People now, everyone's connected through LinkedIn or otherwise. Talk to people, hey, okay, he's very smart or she's very smart. But otherwise, what kind of person? Is this someone who does everything themselves? Are they control freaks or do they let go? And you might want a different kind of culture. So I think then marry that with the culture you want.
Okay, so that's good advice coming in for you, Rohit. I hope you find it very valuable. Here's the second question that we got once again from Bengaluru.
Hi Deep, my name is Jagat. I run a company called Vidphone. We're a video communications company. Just want to know from you, when you listed on Nasdaq, and if MakeMyTrip had to do the same thing today, would you list, would you look for a Nasdaq listing or would you look to list in India? This is my question. Thank you.
Okay, Jagat, you've asked me a question which I guess Nayantara also asked me, but no, I think it's a good point. Nayantara asked why Nasdaq in 2010, and you're asking what would you do today?
Would you still go with it? Yeah.
It's a great point. Things are changing here. Clearly, there are more investors who are excited about the internet model simply because so much is going on. But I still don't think it's that easy for an internet company to list out here. I think there are still some issues, even regulatory, which have to be sorted out. So all things being evaluated, we would still go overseas to list, probably on Nasdaq again. But definitely things now, it's a tougher decision. It was a much easier decision in 2010. But now even...
Like you didn't have to spend much time even thinking about it. But
no, we did. We were a little worried it was more expensive. It was more onerous. The SOX compliance was very heavy in the US. Going there regularly, meeting investors and all is all more kind of, I think difficult. And the biggest negative is you don't help your brand because your brand is here.
Yeah,
but I think to give you the full answer, Janet, I would love to actually list in India, and dual listing is not something we've kind of ruled out. So at the right point of time, we would love to also list in India.
Oh, you could look at dual listing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly,
Jagat, I hope that helps you figure out whatever it is that you're planning. And Deep, I'll tell you to now press the third one.
Yeah.
That's another question.
Hi Deep, Abhas here. I am co-founder of Bombay Play, early stage mobile gaming startup. I used to work for MakeMyTrip's some time back. So I have a question for you. You were an early stage entrepreneur at one point. We are also an early stage startup. So my question to you is, what was the biggest challenge you faced when you were an early stage startup, and what advice would you have for startups which are in the same stage right now?
Hey, good to see you again, Abbas. So it's nice to get that question. I think there were many different problems on the early stage, but if the most crucial and critical is, I think to keep the morale going when chips are down. So when things are tough, and morale going also means retaining people, because good people always have enough jobs. In fact, that's become even tougher today. One of the most frustrating things for us is, as a company, is that we hire good people, train them, teach them new skills, etc., and then they get lured away for companies.
Or they start a startup.
Well, if they start a startup, honestly, I don't feel too bad.
Okay.
But if they leave for another company because they're paying them more or something, it's pretty painful, right? It hurts because I think it takes 6 to 12 months for a company and an individual just to know each other, and for an individual to start delivering, it takes 6 to 12 months. That's the reality.
Yeah.
So I would say keeping the morale up, keeping people still excited, still together, and retention is the key thing when chips are down. So in the early stage, you've really got to have people who truly believe in what you're trying to do. Please, please, please have a really big and nice ESOP and an RSU plan. Be liberal with your ESOPs. Get people to feel ownership. It's not like you say
it's their baby too.
Yeah, and that's the reason good people stay, because that's the reason they join a startup firstly, because they think it's exciting and I can do what I had to do. I'm not stuck in a big company, and oh, by the way, if this works out, I'll also make a ton of money. So I think that's going to be my key advice. Yeah.
This other one we got from Delhi, who's in our studio.
Hi Deep, this is Abhishek. We have met a few times. I work in the investment team of Times Internet. Today I have a question for you. There's a lot of startups, I mentor, I work with them, and we fund them in seed Series A, and a lot of startups that kind of get to a path where they are really rapidly scaling. The question that I have for you is, one, what is the most thing that they should be concerned about when they are really scaling their startup? And two, what should they really be doing, not doing, when should they be raising more? Is more money always good? Should they be scaling, being cash flow positive? Some tips and tricks that you can basically share with entrepreneurs while they are on the growth path, while they are growing rapidly. Thank you.
Okay, a couple of questions from Abhishek, and I think both very valid. So good to see you again, Abhishek. Well, firstly, I think I would like all young companies, entrepreneurs, even larger companies to be very, very focused on metrics. I think the reality is that the scale-up word is very cool, and people love to kind of say, listen, I've got this going, I've got product market fit. People like my product. Now I'm just going to raise a ton of money and pour that in and it'll become big. It's actually much more than that. What you've got to be fanatical about is, are your metrics at every step of this proverbial funnel? So really in our businesses, there's a funnel. In most businesses, there's a funnel. Even in your business, there could be a funnel. You call up so many people and so many will accept it, will be ready to do this, and so many will do it well and so many will do it terribly. Whatever. But our funnels in B2C and B2B are pretty clear, which is how many people come to your app or site, how many people get involved with one of the verticals, let's say, how many people go to the next level and see more detail, and how many people eventually pay or click on something that you want them to click. So you can measure conversion at every step of the funnel, and you should. And only when you are getting better at every step and that trend is continuing for a while, are you a healthy business which deserves to get more capital. Because if that's not happening and you manage to raise capital because you're you sell your story well, or someone believes in you, you pour in more capital or your own capital, that's a double whammy. Because your business is fundamentally not healthier. You've poured in more money. So fundamentally, you've got more people to come through your doors, but you weren't ready or you weren't good enough. Double whammy, because you spent a lot of money, people came in, didn't convert well, and the worst thing is they won't come back. So the ultimate health of any business is repeat. The ultimate health of most businesses. Maybe I'm sure there's some where you don't want to repeat, but most businesses is repeat. And if people don't come back without the lure of discounts, then you don't fundamentally have a good proposition. So please scale up, but scale up when you are fundamentally healthy and ready to take that in. Otherwise, it's the worst thing you can do. So coming to your second question, I think keeping a cushion of capital is a great idea. There are going to be cycles, up and away. It doesn't last forever. Right now, there's a tough cycle going on in fintech, and we had one of the questions come from fintech, and that's largely because what's happened in that sector and is percolating down. Plus the new rules also. At one point you could use Aadhaar online for verification. You can't do that now. So a lot of business models got challenged. So ups and downs will happen. I typically say try to keep, maybe even 9 to 12 months of capital of spend with you. And maybe I've learned it the hard way. Some people keep even more, but at least keeping that amount is prudent. If you don't, then if things go down and you can't raise
You go down
money,
really fast and you have nothing left.
yeah, exactly, and
No
that
contingency.
would be terrible. That would be really sad, and some businesses have run aground because of that. So yeah, I would
9
be
to 12 months
I
would
would be
be good.
prudent doing that. Yeah.
Deep, we also got Thai Delhi to circulate a mail saying that you're coming. So I'm going to now come to those questions. This is by Nupur Gupta, founder of Nupur Gupta Academy, who teaches cosmetology courses. Her question is, how can an entrepreneur solve the challenge of working alone in the business and being able to do only that much? Where and how should we look for partners?
Wow. Okay. Okay, Nupur, great question. I think it fundamentally, of course, comes down to the kind of business you're in, but this is a classic case of delegation. How much can one person do? And it comes down to the individual. There are some people who can do an incredible amount themselves, and then they need people out there to execute.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out, if you're that person in your business who knows it all, and you just want people to execute, then please hire people who are good at execution and they're order takers. Please do not hire people who can challenge you and then this thing because you're saying, I can do that. But hopefully you believe that there are other people who can add value to what you're doing. And then you get in that kind of person with ideally complementary skills. So while you can be each other's sounding board, it's almost like co-founders, but you do different things. You're great at something else. Someone's great at product and technology. Someone's great at business and finance and maybe marketing or whatever. And then you have each other, but then that's the thing you're kind of good at. So in your business, as you scale up, maybe you want someone to help you in geographical expansion. Maybe you're very strong where you're based in Delhi or NCR, but you think it's time for you to grow in Bangalore or Mumbai because they're big markets. Maybe you want someone there. I don't really know your business, but be very clear that you will have to let go of some of the stuff, including some decision making, if you want to attract good talent and you want to retain them.
Yeah.
So that stays in, I think that's a fundamental law of
Correct.
business. It's not about new businesses. It's always been there.
Second question, and I really hope Nupur gets the art of delegation from this one. Some people have troubles letting go. I'm not saying Nupur does. This is from Aditya Bhogra, CEO of Spearhead Consulting and member. His question is, salespeople are the helm of any startup or business. However, it becomes very difficult for startup owners to get right salespeople. Is there a way we can leverage some existing sales experts, or should we hire sales experts, but that might not be feasible for startup entrepreneurs?
So Aditya, I think this is a fair kind of issue. This is a problem. It's not like you won't get good salespeople. You may not get very senior people. On the other side, I feel sales is one of those things where you can variabilize quite easily, which is
Incentivize.
yeah, you can get people in with variable incentives. It's very clear. Sell this, make this for company, make this for self. And I don't think that you always need fancy degrees to be a good salesperson. In fact, I think there are enough examples out there. The best salespeople are people who don't hold any great degree, don't have an MBA, but fundamentally get business, fundamentally understand what they're trying to sell, reach out to the right people. So help them with templates.
Jugaru and amiable.
Yeah, I don't like the word Jugaru any longer, but amiable is
Yeah.
very important. I think also with a fundamental business brain.
Yeah.
That's key, right? Because at the end of the day, the salesperson has to understand, this is what I've got. I'm trying to sell the solution. Who are my likely prospects? So as the entrepreneur, you've told them, listen, these are the guys we're going after. But a smart guy will come back to you after a month and say, listen, there's one more segment. That doesn't need any degree. You're just fundamentally a bright person.
Correct.
And you say, I get it. Secondly, you will go into those meetings. Please do, as entrepreneur, do the first few meetings together. I believe the maximum learning happens through osmosis. You take people along with you, do the first meeting, tell them be quiet in the first meeting, be quiet in the second, be third. Third, fourth meeting onwards, you start talking. And you develop, because they're going to see you and going to learn a new business. They could be selling something very different. And that's the other thing I would add, which is you don't have to hire people from the same domain. It really doesn't matter when in
It's a
sales.
culture, like you said, also.
No,
across the team.
it's the art of the sell, which is really you have the ability to sell something.
Yeah.
It could be literally anything.
So it doesn't matter what you sell.
It doesn't. Sales
really
have proven that. People have moved all the time from FMCG to consumer goods to IT, they're fundamentally salespeople.
Yeah.
At some level, we are all salespeople. Even when we are hiring, we're actually selling our company. But people who get sales, so don't look only in your industry. Broaden your horizons. Look at industries which were good, but which are now coming down. So people are looking at getting out of those industries for
Yeah.
whatever reason. That industry
Correct.
is not hot any longer, oversupply, whatever. Get people there who are hungry. Also, we tend to favor people from tier 2 colleges, but hungry people from tier 2 colleges. We think tier 1 toppers tend to be a little...
Entitled?
Yes, good word. That's quite true.
That's so nice for someone who likes to fancy yourself from a tier 1.
Yeah, but and it probably helps you, but I think as we hire,
Yeah. Okay. With that, Deep
Where
Kalra,
did you go? Which college?
After college, after the interview.
Okay.
I went to Lady Shri Ram College.
Okay, that's tier 1 now?
It's not tier
Okay,
1.
I'm just risking. My wife's from LSR.
Yeah,
Okay.
see. With that, Deep, I'd like to thank you for being so candid. I hope you enjoyed the masterclass in the Startup Toolkit. Keep the questions coming in, and then we'll get Deep Kalra again on Startup Central.
Sure, it'll be a
Thanks
pleasure.
so much.
Thank you. Great questions.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.